Good morning, students. We'll start with our topic Six Sigma, that is, continue with the same chapter and part 1. So, yesterday we had done till SQA plan and seen the different documentation sections for the SQA plan. Now we'll be going with Six Sigma. Now, Six Sigma is the most widely used strategy for statistical quality measures in industry today. So, statistical measures is the trend, the graph, the mean, all such things are calculated with the help of Six Sigma methodology. And for it is done for what? Quality assurance in industries nowadays, that is originally popularized by Motorola in the 1980s. So Six Sigma was popularized by 1980s by Motorola, and the Six Sigma strategy is hard and well organized. It is hard somewhere to implement, but somewhere it is also well organized in a structured format, so that uses data and statistical analysis to measure and improve a company's operational performance by identifying and eliminating defects in manufacturing and service related processes. So it is hard to perform, but still it is used methodology because it's an organized format and that uses data and statistical analysis to measure and improve a company's operational performance. Now, operational performance is the whole functions what are going on in different sectors, and by identifying is rectifying the problem, to check the problem and eliminate the defects. Now, if problem has occurred, to eliminate, to remove that defect, what we can do in manufacturing and service related processes. Now, in manufacturing means the product manufacturing, that is the creation, and service related processes means your marketing, sales, finance, other services. All such things will be service related processes which are connected with manufacturing as well as with the product. The term Six Sigma is derived from six standard deviation. So it is derived from six standard deviation variations, that is 3.5 instances, that is 3.4 instances, I'm sorry, per million, that is 3.4 instances defects. Here I say instances means that much particular defects per million, for per 1 million occurrences, that is for 1 million occurrences you have 3.4% instances defect, and implying an extremely high quality standard. So it's giving you an high quality standard structure to follow so that the defects can be removed. The next is the Six Sigma methodology defines three core steps. So it defines majorly three main steps. First one is define customer requirements and deliverables and project goals via well defined methods of customer communication. So first one is define customer requirements. In the SDLC's life cycle also, the first thing we check is the requirements. So here also first is the customer requirements according to which we are going to design our system, and deliverables means what are the actual product we want to give to the customer, that is deliverables, and project goals, how are we going to complete those things, with what goal and planning, via well defined methods, what technologies we are going to use, what methodology we are going to use for customer communication. To be in touch with the customer also for completing this requirement is also important. Measure the existing process. Now we have to measure the existing process, how much time it is taking and its output, to determine current quality performance. So what we have to do is we have to also keep the records of an output which is coming with the current quality performances. So checking the quality performance can be done using such methods, that is collecting defect metrics. Defect metrics is again numerical Value matrix is numerical value. So quantitative value of the defect checking can be held for the checking of quality performance. Third is analyze defect metrics and determine the vital few causes. So if you analyze the defect metrics, and if there are 4 defect metrics, so it is always counted in quantity. So quantitative 4 defects are there. After those 4 defects, determine vital few causes. So what are the actual causes what brought into consideration to the defects? We have to check that. Next is, if an existing software process is in place but improvement is required, it is all going well till now but still there is some improvement required, can also be done. Six Sigma suggests 2 additional steps. Now 2 more additional steps are given by Six Sigma. Improve the process by eliminating the root cause of defect. If you want to improve, you need to cut down the defect from the roots itself. Control the process to ensure that future work does not reintroduce the causes of defect. Control the work process in such a way that even if your future work is going on, that defect which you have removed from the cause should not give you a problem further in the future work, is second thing. So next is informal reviews. Now what are informal reviews? Informal reviews include a simple desk check of, informal means there will be no structural format. It is just a simple desk check of software engineering work product with a colleague, a casual meeting for the purpose of reviewing a work product, or the review oriented aspects of pair programming. So this is not actually going, informal means what, which does not has any format, so it does not follow any structure, and that is just a simple questionnaire formatting with the help of colleagues, a casual meeting which can be done. Then casual means a formal, no, not a formal meeting, it's just overall meeting which is being defined for a reviewing a work product. And then reviews oriented aspects for pair programming, what is programming doing in its phases. To describe that, informal reviews can be given. As there is no advanced planning or preparation, as I said, it's informal reviews, so there is no planning and procedures into this, so preparation is nothing. So no agenda or meeting structure, as it's a casual meeting, there would be no agenda, that is the series of topics which should be taken into the meeting. No meeting structure, how, what people should be present, what people should attend the meeting, what should they jot down, that is what should they take down from the meeting, what tasks and goals are being given in the meeting, all such things will not be there. And follow up on the errors that are uncovered. The effectiveness of such reviews is lower than more formal approaches. So this review, informal review, is not taken into consideration because it does not follow any structure. So this is lower than your formal reviews. Formal review is more accepted by the people, preferred by the people, rather than preferring informal review. But a simple desk check can uncover errors that might propagate further into a software process. So normally, just informally, if they take a questionnaire, they just do a casual meeting, and still also if they propagate some error problems which can help in the further software processing, could help down the team. Next is quality improvement. From here your chapter 3 part 2 starts, that is quality improvement is part 2. So we'll be seeing quality improvement introduction. So what is quality improvement exactly? So continuous quality improvement is a fundamental requirement of all quality management system. So to keep the quality maintained, managing the quality management system, we require continuous quality improvements in the product after every interval of time. So it is a recurring theme. Recurring means ongoing, again and again, same repetitive theme In all quality management literature and international standards including ISO 9001. So in the standards also it is being said that quality improvement can be done till the last stage of the SDLC life cycle. So it can be done as a theme, and recurring same structures can be applied so that the improvement of the product can be made. So the cost principle is that quality improvement is not a one time effort. It is just not only once if you do and then you get the output is not the thing. It is not one time, it is all time effect. So it is an ongoing process. Ongoing means continuously it will go on, that last for life of an enterprise. So it lasts for life, that is till the end of the life cycle. It will last you because you are giving a best quality in that particular product. So experience has shown that without a constant focus on product quality and process improvement, organization naturally descend into randomness and quality standards lapse sometime with catastrophic results for the company and its customers. Sometimes because they are not looking forward for the quality, what happens is they do naturally then somewhere fall for randomness, that is they do not get the market trend, then they do not get the quality standard, and they lapse sometimes in the market, that is they are having a heavy losses, their products are not being sold, the company is not in the hike for the customers. So all such things take into consideration. Now some quality tools are, there are many quality tools. The first one is cost and effect diagram. So why do we require a cost and effect diagram? Cause and effect diagram, also called as fishbone chart or Ishikawa, identifies many possible causes for an effect or problem and sorts ideas into useful categories. So your cause and effect diagram is also called as Ishikawa or fishbone chart, which identifies that there will be possible causes for an effect or problem and sorts ideas into useful categories. So there are problems, you will have problems, effects, and you have to solve those effects with the help of useful categories given. Then second is check sheet, a structured prepare from form for collecting and analyzing data, a generic tool that can be adapted for a wide variety of purposes. So check sheet is done as a structural format of a particular form for collecting the information and analyzing that information for the help of good quality purposes into the organization. Next is control charts, graphs used to study how a process changes over time. So control chart will help you to study the changes in the trend of your business, what they are done over time period. Then is histogram. Histogram is the most commonly used graph for showing frequency distributions or how often each different value in a set of data occur. So histogram will show you a plotted value of frequency distribution, the work distribution which is being done, and how often each of the data value keeps on changing as the data inside it increases. Pareto chart shows a bar graph which factors for more significant, for which factors are more significant means it will show you the data in the form of bar graph chart. Scatter diagram, graphs pairs of numerical data in one variable on each axis to look for a relationship. So graphs will be paired together in a form of one variable for each axis on a to look a relationship between two different components is given by the scatter diagram. Stratification, a technique that separates data gathered from a variety of sources. Now data will be gathered from different sources and they will be so that patterns can be seen. So to altogether when they are seen, they can be seen as a pattern of values, that is called as a stratification. So the next is Pareto diagrams. So Pareto chart is one of the 7 basic tools of quality control. As we have seen prior, so Pareto chart is one of the basic tool of quality improvement cycle, and the independent variables on the chart, the independent variables on the bar graph, that is the chart, are shown on the horizontal axis. Horizontal means again the x-axis, not the y-axis, and the dependent variables are portrayed as the heights of bars. So dependent variables will be shown on that particular bar only in the vertical shape or on the height shape of the bar. A point to graph which shows cumulative relative frequency may be superimposed on the bar graph. So cumulative frequency, relative frequency means if one bar graph is showing me sales, other bar graph is showing me marketing, somewhere interconnected dots will be connected so that they can show the frequency between them, how they are interconnected. A Pareto chart named after Wilfred Pareto is a type of chart that contains both bars and a line graph where individual values are represented in descending orders by bars and the cumulative total is represented by the line. So as I defined it now only, a Pareto chart was given a name after Wilfred Pareto, and is a chart that contains both bars as well as lines. Now what bars define? Bars define where individual values are represented in descending orders. They show it on the bars, and cumulative total, the altogether total of a particular value, is represented by a line. So these are the things a Pareto chart defines. Reading further, Pareto chart is a quality improvement tool. Now it's a quality improvement tool that is based upon the Pareto principle. So they have one Pareto principle which we have seen in the chapter 2, but again going through it, the principle that 80% of outcome comes from 20% of its input. So 20% input when you put, 80% of the output is seen because of that 20% input is the principle of Pareto. And Wilfred Pareto, an Italian engineer and economist, first observed that the 80-20 rule in relation to population and wealth. So this first rule principle was implied on population and wealth of the company, that is economy and the normal population. At the beginning of the 20th century, Pareto noted that in Italy and several other European countries, 80% of the wealth was controlled by just 20% of the population. So can you all see this comparison, that he has compared the 20% population, 20% of people are acquiring 80% of the wealth, that is 80% of the economic wealth of the country in Italy. A Pareto chart is essentially a bar chart. So it's a basic bar chart showing how often different categories of events, so it's showing how often different categories of events take place, so how it takes place, as well as the most common is ordered to the left and the least common is ordered to the right. So most common which are currently used will be at the left hand side, and the least common which are not actually used for many times are considered in the right hand side. Now characteristics of Pareto. So what are the characteristics of Pareto? On the x-axis you have the area of interest. On the x-axis, that is on the baseline, you will have the area of interest. On the left y-axis you have the number of events. So number of events will be arranged on the y-axis, that is vertical line. On the right y-axis you have the cumulative frequency. On the right y-axis, on the right hand side you will have cumulative frequency, the range of values. And for showing what, as we said, what does cumulative frequency defined by line? So it will show you a line. And essentially a Pareto chart is bar and line graph combined. So it's to both combined, that is a line and a bar graph all together. The bars display the number of events per area of interest and lines display the cumulative percent of events. So this is the categorization of Pareto's characteristics. I will show you one diagram in the next lecture and we'll stop here for this lecture. Probably we'll take 3 more lectures to complete this particular chapter and we'll end up with the syllabus, theory syllabus of SQA, and then we'll move on to just the assignments and game programming. Thank you.